We shouldn't expect in the foreseeable future any social unrest which would change the regime. No, this scenario doesn't exist for foreseeable future. But what I see, just having this, counting all these aspects, that by the end of the year, if the West takes consistent position, principled position, and will recognize finally not only European leaders but also US administration that who is aggressor and who is the victim. That's not two guys just who hate each other and that's why they fight each other, and that we should press both of them to sit down and negotiate.
But we haven't heard that. We haven't heard that from the United States.
We haven't heard, but Mark Rubio already said, we just on the Ukrainian side. We're not mediator because we provide just our equipment.
Do we need to hear that?
That's why we're under this way. We need U.S. administration to make a strong statement on that.
We need to hear from the President of the United States.
Exactly.
They're the aggressor, they're the victim.
Exactly.
Do you think we'll ever hear it?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's coming to this. And the discussion in Ankara, that's already close to this.
You're seeing that shift?
That's shifting, that's already taking place. That is one aspect. All others as well, and that's why Mr. Putin would realize that he is facing big problems. And there is no hope that President Trump would help him. There is no hope that the economy will start growing, or at least will stay at this stage. And there is no hope that he can draw just more people to the battlefield. It means he will be willing to negotiate.
What are you hearing then? What are people inside Russia, what are they telling you? Are they feeling hurt, demoralized? Give us a sense of the mood.
Fear.
Fear.
Total fear. For all activists, total fear. They cannot, just for criticizing the government, you can get 6, 8, or 10 years or 25. For instance, they already add me to the list of terrorists.
I saw.
Yeah, and that's why if I come back, that I will be sentenced for life. Because they're expecting me to changing the government and lead this or something like this. Yeah.
But fear also within the elites, Mikhail?
Same fear. People cannot escape. They understand they're like hostages, all those ministers, and on the lower level. They serve Putin because they have to survive. But they're all dreaming about stop the war because they understand that's already finito.
Yeah, the human cost, the human toll it's taken on Russians. I can only imagine what some families and mothers and fathers are going through right now. Give us a sense of who Putin is. You've had a working relationship with President Putin, working and I assume personal relationship. The man you knew then and the man you know now, is there a difference?
Oh, absolutely different persons, yeah. And that time we all believed that Putin, as all of us, we all came from the Soviet Union. And we all believed, and President Yeltsin, who nominated Putin as a potential successor, we all believed that Putin could be continuing all these democratic and reforms in the economy without mistakes what Yeltsin did, with the energy, more young person, etc., etc. That's why he got 52% of the vote, and that's why we supported Putin, and that's why I accepted to work with him. Subject that he will support all my initiatives, all those reforms which we managed to launch, and we pull out Russia of the crisis to the trajectory of sustainable growth.
Yeah, economic crisis.
Yeah, we had 6-7% GDP growth per year at that time, and we had excellent relations with the United States.
So what's happened? Where did you see the shift then, and how do you see him now?
The shift was that Mr. Putin thought, that's another story, that's a different story. You remember Iraqi operation?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you remember at that time President Putin, Chancellor Schroeder, and President Chirac were against this, and they decided, and Putin decided just to close eyes and to allow not to criticize much President Bush on that. And Putin believed that is a silent contract. He interprets international law as he wanted, but simultaneously he doesn't criticize and doesn't create problems for Bush for Iraq.
How would you describe him right now?
Now he's a real KGB guy. Before, at my time, demonstrating to President Yeltsin, demonstrated to me and my collaborators in the parliament when we all supported him, just as a person devoted to democratic changes. But on a later stage, he lost he pretended to be a democratic person and appeared to be, now she's a real guy with this, I would say, wrong vision, worldview.
Narcissistic, grand ideas of himself and of where he sees himself, placed in history. How do you think?
Keep power. That's the only, keep personal power. That's the only reason. Keep personal power. Just not setting up a new Soviet Union, no. Not being a history, not future of the country. That's why sometimes people in the West and leaders in the West sometimes making decisions, they understand, Putin should understand that is not good for the country. He's indifferent on this. He's thinking about himself, what he will today and maybe tomorrow, not the day after.
Do you ever get scared, Mikhail, of speaking out? I mean, Putin's tentacles are very wide, as we have seen in numerous years. Do you get scared about speaking out about Putin?
I'm not scared, but of course this problem exists. Of course, that's correct. My friend Boris Nemtsov was killed just on the wall in Kremlin. Other my collaborators, Navalny was killed in a prison. Some other people too, etc. A few of my regional activists are in jail because they're speaking quite openly, etc.
But they can't silence you?
Yeah, they can't. Some of us moved to Russia. Some didn't, but they continue criticizing, and that's what they're in jail. And of course, this problem exists.
Huge losses, tiny gains, and lies. That's the reality of Russia's war on Ukraine. It's plain to see in the strategic town of Konstantinivka, where last week Russia planted a flag in its center claiming its capture. But that's not true. Ukraine still holds lots of it. Yet its fate over the past year lays bare the crisis at the heart of Russia's war. Konstantinivka sits right on what's known as the fortress belt of heavily defended towns in the Donbass, the capture of which is a key Putin goal. Take it, and the other two remaining towns of Kramatorsk and Slavyansk are well within reach. But wind back a year, take a look at reliable battlefield maps, and you see a story about Moscow's persistence, but also how much tiny gains cost. Last year, we saw the road in was lined with fishing nets protecting from drones, but the town was under Ukrainian control and safe enough. But by November, it was being hit hard here in the southwest, with another drone video showing an airstrike just a few streets away. Ukraine still had troops casually in the city centre, and Russia was still really on the contested southwestern outskirts. It's in the first week of the year that the map records a big leap forwards for Moscow. But remember, their casualties across the whole front are estimated by the West at about 35,000 a month now, dead and injured. The Ukrainians are at this time still posting from the central railway station, but by February, white phosphorus is being used to horrific effect in the southwest. Even though the Ukrainians are still very much central, jump forward to April and the damage done is horrific. Drone images right where we saw the Ukrainians in November, as the Russians have slowly crept in. We saw how perilous it was to get in and out ourselves. The netting we saw 10 months earlier, now a graveyard for so many. Russian flags central this week, even if the maps show they're far from controlling the town. 1 year of tiny, tiny steps and doubtless thousands of Russian dead for a town that is relatively tiny itself. Russia's real weak spot in this war.